Hi everybody, thank you for pressing play on the video today. It's Caroline here from craftycarolinecreates.blogspot.co.uk. Today's project is continuing a theme of some cards that I showed you a couple of weeks ago using the wonderful Flurry of Wishes stamp set, and I made this very sweet little box. These are the original cards that I shared with you. So you can see the box opens up like that, and there are the cards inside using this same stamp set. These were very well received, which is kind of what prompted me to do a sort of a follow-up video with a variation on those cards. I'll just put that away. If you haven't seen this project, I will link to it below in the down bar so you can head over and see exactly how to make that box and have a closer look at the cards themselves. But the cards we are going to make today, again, as I said, continuing that theme, but what technique we're going to look at today is how we've done this camouflage raised die cutting effect. Can you see? It's very tactile. I love running my finger. It's quite raised up, but again it sort of blends into the background because it looks like it has been pushed out the word merry, and then we've got Christmas. This one I've done exactly the same, but I've just kept the die cut top white, whisper white, so it makes it a little bit easier to see. It feels really tactile, I don't know why. And this one I've used Merry and Bright, and this one I've topped my die cut with a layer of foil, silver foil card, and that gives a lovely shiny merry message. Wishing you a Merry Christmas. I was actually going to stamp directly onto the card, just as I have done with these two, but I actually smudged as I was stamping Wishing You. So underneath Wishing You there is the smudged version. I've just saved that by elevating those using the Whirlwind punch. I think that works really well. The small sayings come from a new set that is out in the Christmas catalogue, along with the Flurry of Wishes called Holly Jolly Greetings. And this is very much like Crazy For You in the annual catalogue, in that it builds up very nicely with the framelits that we are going to work with in a moment. So that is enough of me babbling on. Let us now get on and see how to do this gorgeous technique. Okay, what I'm going to start with is a card blank, which I've stamped already a random pattern across the middle using one of the snowflake stamps from Flurry of Wishes. 3 colours are Night of Navy, Island Indigo and Smoky Slate. Okay, what you're now going to need is your Christmas greetings thinlits, and I've been using the word merry, so I will just pull that out. You also get the word peace and jolly in there as well, and as I said, you can then coordinate them with this gorgeous stamp set to make a whole array of Christmas messages. So here is my word merry, and what we're going to do is bring in the big shot. Try not to knock the camera. There we go. Okay, you can see that. I think that's going to work. Just going to lift the camera up a tiny bit so I can turn the handle without knocking the tripod. Okay, now what I have on my my big shot is my multi-purpose platform that comes with the Chic Shop when you buy it. And then I have this, which is new in the seasonal catalogue as well. It's the precision base print. It is really, really, really good. I was a bit sceptical about buying this, but it makes popping out intricate dies and thinlits super, super easy. Okay, so you need it tells you very much what to do. So tab 2 on the multi-purpose platform, that's what we have here. Then this goes down, but you need to flip it upside down. It says, you know, this is not a cutting surface, so make sure you flip it over and use this side. You can see I've already used it a little bit. Load that into our big shot, put in our card, and then you just want to work out where you want your word merry to go. I'm going to go somewhere like that, or do we want to flip it over and do it that way? Should we do it there? Okay. Now the precision plate isn't magnetic, so if you're used to using a magnetic platform, you just need to be careful at this point as you wind it through the big shot that it doesn't slip. You can always use a post-it note or some washi tape to stick that all down. Okay, but we're just going to carefully wind that through. Okay, I like to go all the way through and then come all the way back. Okay. and now I'm going to show you how easy that precision base plate makes pulling out this die. So just lift that off gently, and I'll move that plate, the whole Big Shot actually, out of the way. Okay, so what I'm just going to do is then just very easily push that die out of my paper, and you can see it's actually very easily left that Mary behind, and I can then very easily peel that out. Now I have actually done this without using the precision base plate, and basically you then have to use something like a paper piercing through every hole in the Mary to get it out. It does still work, but the precision base plate just makes it really, really simple. So this is my Mary that has punched out. You can see it still has the loop of the Y and the E in place. So I'm going to use my paper piercer just to push those out. But I'm going to put them to one side and keep them very safe, because we will need them again in a moment. Okay. So I'm just going to push those, keep those there, and keep my Mary as well next to it. What I then need to do is also run this Mary through the Big Shot using white cardstock 4 or 5 times. I've done that already, and those are my additional 4 Marys that I punched out earlier to save some time. Okay, so put the Thinlet away. What you now need is a little scrap of Whisper White cardstock that is bigger than the word Mary that you have punched out. And I'm just going to take a snail and very liberally put quite a few lines of snail on the back of that scrap of Whisper White. So it's basically covered in adhesive. And then I'm going to stick that behind the piece of cardstock that I've just stuck out. So that will stick down, and also the Mary bit will be nice and sticky as well, which means I can take one of these die cuts I did earlier and fill the hole in using that. Okay, what I find is just push it in like that. Okay, and then you can get a piece of scrap cardstock just to rub that down to make sure it is fully in position. Okay, so you can see that's kind of disappeared back into the hole now. Next thing I need to do is those 2 little bits that I took out earlier from the Y and the E, is pop those back into position. Again, they should stick easily down to that snail that you've already inserted. Okay, so that's the Y. Making sure, of course, that it matches up, and then my E is going to go there as well. Okay. So you've got those back in, you can see that. So the Y and the E now have their pieces back in. Now we are going to use this, which is the fine tip glue pen, another new product. I'm overwhelming you with new products today. Okay, and we are going to use this, and it's perfect for this, just to go very finely along that word Mary with our glue. Just outlining the word Mary. Now I find it much easier to do it on the card than to try and do it on the back of one of the die cuts. So just go all the way around like that. Okay, and then get your next die cut that you have done, and we're just going to pop that on top of the one we've already cut out, and this is how you're going to start building up that raised impression. Okay, so once you've got it pretty much lined up as you need it to be, there we go. Again, you can get a piece of scrap and pop that down on top like that once you are happy with it, just to press it into position. And then we're going to do exactly the same again, some more of our thin point adhesive, which is perfect for this. You know, if you've tried to do this with Tombow, it's just not anywhere near as easy, because you've really got that tiny, really fine needle point. So we put the next one on. Okay. And you can, it tends to be quite easy to, I find, to line these up on top of each other. If you get the front and bottom right, it tends to then follow itself quite easily. press that down. One more time. You might want to fast forward through this if you don't want to watch me do this again and again. Okay. Last one. Here we go, we're getting there now. Okay. And so that is 4 layers we've done. So you can see that is nicely raised. And as I said, on one of my cards I actually stopped at this point. So on this one I stopped when I got to that point and didn't continue anymore. But on this one we're going to mimic that camouflage effect where it sort of looks like it's emerging from the pattern. So we're going to bring back in the original one that we die cut, which is the one with the stamping on it. And we are going to finish off by sticking that one on top. And as I said, on one of the other ones I did a piece of silver foiled card on the top. And again, that also looks really lovely. That was that one. Okay, so you can do this for a lot of different effects in the end. I'm just going to stick that one on top. There we go. As I said, once you get it sort of lined up at a few key points, it then does tend to the rest to follow along quite nicely. Okay, and we'll press that down, and voila! That is our die cutting nicely done. So you can see the word merry sort of hidden, that's why it's called camouflaged, into the card. You could of course leave it with merry. I am going to add another sentiment from this, and I think I'm going to add merry wishes. So I'll find the wishes stamp, that's that one, brand new, unused. Peel that out. Oh, just need to find my ink. Here's my Night of Navy ink. Of course you could do it in whatever colour you want. So we'll ink that up, and that's just going to go, I'm just going to move it back so I can just make sure I'm getting it roughly in the right place. Just down like that. Merry wishes. Okay, see how that works and builds up nicely. All that's left to do is then mount it. So I've got an Island Indigo card base. This is just standard A4 card cut in half and then folded in half. And then each of my blanks to go on top. So this is Night of Navy on top of that. And that measures 5mm smaller. And then the white base is 5mm smaller than that. So just a bit of snail on the back. Okay, so we can pop that back on there, like that. Bit of snail on the back of this card. Of course, you could also use dimensionals if you wanted to really give it a bit more wow factor. There we go. And that is our lovely, oh, I've stuck it on the wrong way. That was a bit silly, but that would be our lovely card finished if I had done it the right way. Maybe it's going to be more valuable as it's a wrong way round, a bit like postage stamps that are printed upside down. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was useful. If you would like to buy any Stampin' Up products, and I have shown you quite a few new ones in this video today, do not hesitate to get in touch. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.